Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and hooray, I managed to find my way back from Azeroth for long enough to get a video out for today. Today's video, however, is probably quite likely to polarize, good word, polarize my audience. And what I mean by that is you're probably either going to love it or hate it, and if you're going to hate it, it's probably going to be because this is HMS Conqueror, everybody's favourite Tier 10 British battleship. And when I say favourite, I of course mean divisive, controversial, and heavily criticised Tier 10 British battleship. And the reasons for that, of course, are many. But they mostly boil down to your typical Conqueror gameplay being somebody cruising around the back of the map, launching devastating high explosive volleys every 30 seconds or so, ending up the last ship left alive on their team with all of their health bar intact after having done around 200,000 high explosive and fire damage, and thinking that they've actually been the one doing the carrying. But this is not that kind of Conqueror replay. This is C4900RR Sniper. I have no idea what that name is supposed to mean. I tried googling C4900 and all I came up with were, well, anything ranging from window frame kits to batteries, so we're just going to call him Sniper. Well, the game has kicked off, and he either doesn't realise he's in a Conqueror, or he didn't get the memo on how Conquerors are supposed to be played, because he's actually heading away from the map border. Seems very strange. Then again, he does have the high explosive loaded rather than the armour piercing, so maybe he does realise he's in a Conqueror, but he's just lost. I guess we're going to see. You know, when I see a Conqueror replay in my inbox, I sometimes wish that World of Warships handled ammunition the way that World of Tanks does. I mean, what I mean by that is, for example, somebody sent me a replay in a Soviet Tier 10 medium tank, where they've gotten 10 kills and done 9,000 damage. And I think, oh, this should be quite good. And I flash up the replay, and the first thing that I see is that he has nothing but gold ammunition loaded. And that's about as far as I watch. Well, you can't really do that in World of Warships with a Conqueror replay. You don't know if the player is going to be just spamming high explosive the whole game, because the ammunition works differently in World of Warships. And I realise that this is an entirely selfish suggestion, but sometimes I really do wish that it did work the same way as it does in World of Tanks, because it would really help me filter out the rubbish Conqueror replays that I get submitted. It would really help to filter out the replays that I get sent if I could have a look at all of the Conqueror games and right at the start see that he doesn't even have a single round of armour piercing loaded into his magazines. Well, I'm not going to bother watching that. But unfortunately, oh, hang on a minute, plot twist. Shots out high explosive at the Yamato, set afire, done 6,200 damage. And he's loading armour piercing. What dark sorcery is this? Don't you know you're in a Conqueror, man? Well, this is most unconventional. I'm not entirely sure what to think about this. For a start, he's about 10 kilometres closer to the enemy than a Conqueror player should be, and he's not just firing high explosive. Let's see what the Alsace thinks of this. Okay. That wasn't bad. I realise a lot of people probably aren't aware that the Conqueror and the Lion actually have armour-piercing ammunition, but it's not bad ammunition. It's different to the armour-piercing ammunition fired by other nations' battleships. The shells have very short fuses, they arm very quickly, and that means that there are things you can do with British battleship armour-piercing that other ships can't do, and things that you can't do with British battleship armour-piercing. And one of the things you can't do is aim below the waterline in order to score a citadel penetration on a ship that's broadsiding you. All that happens is that the fuse actually arms itself on contact with the water, and the shell detonates before it even reaches the belt armour of the ship, so it doesn't penetrate. On the other hand, that short fuse arming time means that you don't get as many over-penetrations when you're firing at, for example, cruisers. All of which basically means that British battleship armour-piercing ammunition is a little trickier to use than the armour-piercing ammunition fired by other nations. And when you combine that with the fact that the high explosive is so ridiculously powerful, it's not really any surprise that high explosive is what most people fire. And so it's what most people, like that Moskva, expect you to fire. Yeah, we'll sail broadside onto a Conqueror because you can't angle against high explosive. Hey, that's not high explosive. Oh, shit. And yeah, that is a paddling. Nobody expects Conquerors to be firing armor piercing. Haven't you read the manual? What's wrong with you, man? Oh no, Sniper's on fire in 2 separate places. Yeah, don't worry, it's a Conqueror. You're not going to see him use the damage control much. For those of you who haven't yet seen a Conqueror activate its heal, just hold on. I'll nudge you when it happens, just in case it isn't obvious. Shots out again, lost sight of the Moskva, but, well, they're on target, and that is another paddling. Wow, it turns out British battleships are just as capable of administering savage paddlings to broadside cruisers as everybody else. Who would have thought? Well, you can forgive people for not realising that this was actually the case, because when was the last time you saw Conqueror firing armour piercing? Oh no, now he has a third fire, and he's lost half of his health. Still not using the damage control though, is he? What's this Moskva up to? Is he still showing? He is, he's still showing broadside. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's like he's waiting for the high explosive. It's not going to happen, sunshine. You keep showing broadside, Sniper is going to keep firing armor piercing at you. Okay, that was kind of disappointing. Only the 1 penetration. Oh, Sniper's just activated his heal. This is why the Conqueror rarely uses its damage control and doesn't really care about being set on fire. It may have the lowest health pool of any of the tier 10 battleships, but this heal really makes up for it. Now, is the Moskva going to get away, or is Sniper's final armor-piercing salvo going to put him to the bottom? The votes are in, and our panel says, yeah, that's a nope. 96,000 damage. Almost all of it armor-piercing. In fact, of the 96,000, I think 90,000 was armor-piercing damage. Yes, in a Conqueror, I know. Conqueror armor piercing is like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects it. But why not? I mean, you can see the results he's getting. Well, it's just easier to fire the high explosive. It is undeniably effective and incredibly annoying, particularly to other battleships, because there isn't really any defense against it other than to get something solid between yourself and the Conqueror, or drop out a line of sight. You can't angle against high explosive. Okay, this is a slightly tougher target, the Großer Kurfürst. Very, very heavily armoured German battleship. Armour piercing out. Unlikely to get any citadels, but let's see. Oh, and he is angling as well. Yeah. 3,000 damage. Terrible. This sounds like a job for the 16-inch high explosive. Roger that, number 1. Load the high explosive. And then, of course, the Großer Kurfürst starts angling the other way, giving broadside once again. Armour piercing would probably be the better ammunition choice here, but Sniper can't see into the future. The Großer Kurfürst was angling, starts to look like a prime target, the high explosive, and then, yeah, he does this. And this is one of the reasons why the Conqueror is viewed as a no-skill ship. Because if you just fire high explosive at everything, and you still get results like that, would armour piercing have been better? Very probably. But the high explosive was good enough. He set 2 fires. The Großer Kurfürst quite reasonably thinks, oh, it's a Conqueror, more than 1 fire, uses the damage control, I'm a fast battleship, I can get into cover before he fires again. A perfectly reasonable assumption to make. Unfortunately, it's completely wrong. And so, a second high explosive salvo, and a further 2 fires. And they're going to burn for the next 40 seconds. So this is the main criticism of the Conqueror, and Conqueror players in general as well. Although obviously it's a broad generalisation, but why bother going to the trouble of learning when is the best time to load the armour piercing, trying to anticipate what the enemy is going to do, having to think about your ammunition choices, when you can just fire high explosive at everything. And you'll do well enough. And in some cases you'll do spectacularly well indeed. So other battleship players tend to look down their noses at Conqueror players, and a lot of Conqueror players don't exactly help themselves by falling into the stereotype and just firing nothing but high explosive at everything. And so most people are blissfully unaware of just how effective the Conqueror's armor piercing actually is. It's just as effective as the Montana, it's just as effective as the Grosser Kurfürst. In fact, it's probably slightly more effective than the Grosser Kurfürst because it's a little bit more accurate. It's probably not as good as the Yamato, but, well, it's the Yamato. It's always going to be special. But if you are one of those rare breed of Conqueror players who actually knows how to switch ammunition types during the course of a battle, you can take advantage of people's expectations and deliver some stunning paddlings, as Sniper demonstrated against the Moskva earlier. Not so much against this Charles Martel. He's fully aware that he's staring death down the gun barrels of these 16-inch guns. Now, if you pay attention, you can usually predict what somebody's about to do. He nearly broadsided there just for a couple of seconds. Not quite, but just enough to maybe, for example, bring his torpedo tubes to bear. We're inside 9 kilometers. It's the range of his torpedoes. He knows he's about to die. There's no way he's getting out of here. He's almost certainly just launched torpedoes. Okay, the Charles Martel is down. Sniper 8 some armor piercing from that Alsace over there, and he needs to turn the ship's bows towards the Alsace to tank his guns. And this manoeuvre should mean that if the Charles Martel did fire any torpedoes, he's going to be perfectly safe. Now, Sniper does have the armor piercing loaded, and under these circumstances, the high explosive would definitely be better. And yep, there are the Charles Martel's torpedoes as predicted. But he's got the AP loaded, so he has to use it. And while the high explosive would probably produce more damage, the armor piercing knocks out gun turrets. Okay, Sniper's reloading the high explosive now, obviously, but the fact that the Alsace is on fire can tell us something. If he uses his damage control in the next 30 seconds to get that gun turret back up, we'll know when it happens, because the fire will also go out. I have to admit, I'm struggling to figure out exactly what this Alsace is doing. Because those are his secondaries firing, not his main battery guns. And it does look as if that turret has repaired itself. I think the fire just burnt itself out naturally. In fact, I'm pretty sure it did because of what's about to happen. With the high explosive loaded, Sniper fires. Sets 2 fires, does a bit of damage, but the fires have stopped burning. He's just used his damage control, which meant that the guns had repaired themselves, but he wasn't shooting. I don't know what he was holding his fire for. It didn't do him any good because the friendly Alsace came around the corner and paddled his broadside from point-blank range, so we'll never know what it was that Alsace was trying to do. Sniper did take a fair amount of damage there, and he does still have 3 fires burning, but he's just used the heal, and he's printed himself another new ship. One of the fires is just burnt out. And here's another situation where, damn, you really wish you had the armor piercing loaded. But, well, you're in a Conqueror. That was an impressive amount of damage for a high explosive salvo. I've seen other battleships at this tier firing armor piercing that would have been happy doing that amount of damage. He's now, of course, switching to the armor piercing, and the Lion is angling away. Well, he's not angling away. He's not angling away from Sniper, put it that way. He's expecting this to be high explosive, and you can't angle against high explosive. He's just trying to turn the ship around. Which is bad news for Conqueror, because he is now firing armor piercing, but it's really, really good news for all the ships on his flank that he's now exposing broadside to, and it looks like his heel's on cooldown as well. Yep, no printing of new ships for you. Now, there's only one enemy ship left. There's a destroyer out there somewhere. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, hang on a second. Deepwater torpedoes? Didn't see them coming until it was far too late. Yeah, it's the Chungmu. Pan-Asian Tier 9. And for the first time in this entire battle, Sniper just used his damage control. This is the first time he's needed to. There have been occasions when his ship had 3 fires, and he never needed to use the damage control because of how powerful the damage repair party is. But the damage repair party is on cooldown, so he's using that damage control. You don't want to flood to death. Okay, he's still spotted by the Chungmu, so that tells us a few things. First, obviously, the Chungmu is out there somewhere, and he's in line of sight. And he's within 11.6 kilometers, because that's the Conqueror's surface detection range, lowest of any Tier 10 battleship. Okay, he just went unspotted. Now, the torpedoes came from over there. But, yeah, I'm going with Sniper on this one. I think he just moved across the gap between these islands and is about to pop up, if anywhere, right over there. But Sniper has just assisted in capturing, that's right, a Conqueror. In a cap circle, I know. Which means the team are in possession of all three of the caps. They're about to win on points, so where that Chungmu went and what he's about to do, we're never going to know. So, pretty comprehensive spanking delivered to the enemy team there, due in no small part to the fact that Sniper understands that he can press his 2 as well as his 1 key when he's playing a British battleship. The scale of the spanking is probably not too surprising when you have a look at the post-battle team lists and you see that, well, pretty much everybody except for the Frederick the Great on Sniper's team managed to get over 1,000 experience, and the top of Sniper's team list is dominated by their tier 9s and 10s. Enemy team? Not so much. When you're being carried by an Attigo in a tier 10 battle, yeah. But I guess the moral of today's video is that Sniper clearly doesn't know how to play the Conqueror. He wasn't surfing around the map border for the majority of the game. He didn't end the game with all of his health pool intact. He fired half again as much armor-piercing ammunition as he did high explosive, and did almost exactly twice the armor-piercing damage as his high explosive damage. He quite clearly needs to be sent back to Conqueror School in order to learn how to sail this ship the same way as everybody else. Or perhaps that should be the other way around. You be the judge. Sniper, thank you for sending that battle in. Very enjoyable. Everybody else, I hope you had fun watching it. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.